Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Paul C. Matthew, James Malone Jr., Pound Town Court, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. This is the Freedom of Information Law. It is dated this July 2nd, 2023. There are 22 in here. You will refuse to comply with every single one. All 22 of these are sent to your office on this June 21st, 10 plus days ago. I've been demanding for 18 months the names of my prosecutors, these sociopaths and freaks assigned to every single one of my court appearances, concocted charges, fiction, and lies, and you're refusing. I again demand today that you disclose to me the names of prosecutors in a public proceeding that have delivered me to jail, where they have never talked in court. How is any citizen in the state of New York of 17 million from Montauk, New York, the eastern part of Long Island, to Buffalo, and everywhere in between, in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? You know these answers, Perry Duckles and Mark Monahan in the District Attorney's Office, as far as the three names on the foil. Tell me the names of my prosecutors. Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. I'll say that again, my full name. Christopher.Chichester@mail.com, or 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York 14604. Tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence, you hacks and sociopaths, at that revolting shack at 47 South Bitchfield. The silence of the District Attorney's Office deposits me in jail 6 times. It is accompanied by the violence of the Sheriff's Office, where I'm violently attacked at a pharmacy entrance of Wegmans at 2157 Penfield Road by an unidentified Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, where you, Todd Baxter, sent your 5 vehicles and your 10 plus employees from me. And I'm violently attacked by Richard J. Seaman at the Penfield Public Library. I've talked about him repeatedly. 2 people decided I'm going to be in Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, where I don't live. $28,000 bald-headed widow Paul C. Metzler and Richard J. Seaman, the $75,000 freaking fanatic. You're all freaks and fanatics at the Sheriff's Office. You'll never know it. Sworn officer in law with a badge and a holstered weapon and violently attacking me. I had to get an MRI because this freaking fanatic that attacked me at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans. You know how you can identify him? You got your 5 vehicles, your 10 plus employees. You're a female employee, Todd Baxter. You know exactly what I'm talking about. There's only one employee looks like her with the Marine style haircut and tattoos. So this happens. She was standing right there. You know why? It doesn't matter to you, Todd Baxter, Richard J. Seaman violently attacked the Penfield Public Library. This unidentified public employee attacked the pharmacy entrance of Wegmans with 10 witnesses of your 10 employees. Because you're the blue wall silence. I sent this to you on February 6, 2023, the blue wall silence, where I talked about this violence just descending down upon me and delivering me to an MRI tube where I was billed by the University of Rochester Medical Center. It does not matter to you, you freak Todd Baxter, you sociopath Todd Baxter, that I was violently attacked by one of your own employees. Twice, and I've been violently attacked at other places because of you. You party-switching Benito Mussolini skinhead and stooge who doesn't know if he's a Democrat or Republican. You are vile and sick, Sheriff Todd Baxter. Your own employees don't know what constitutes a crime, which I've talked about repeatedly. So here is the certified mail receipt, June 23rd. Here, came to your office. It says right here, your name also June 23rd. Your name, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, the District Attorney of Hatred, is right here on June 23rd. When you get the foil and have the documentation, you see I'm demanding I disclosure of you the names of my prosecutors, and you repudiate it. That's why it's called repudiated. On this June 23rd. You are at such an insane level of corruption. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, I think about you the same way I think about Governor Elliot Spitzer when he resigned in disgrace 15 years ago when I was in Albany, New York that day because he had a sexual liaison at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. with prostitute Ashley Alexander Dupree. It's a different type of corruption. But I think of you the same way, you hack and sociopath, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, the way I think about Elliot Spitzer. Because Elliot Spitz was a criminal. And you, Sandra Doorley, are a criminal. Sandra Doorley, District Attorney of Monroe County. What are the names of my prosecutors? The freaks and sociopaths, you freaking sociopaths, Sandra Doorley, right here. Because this is the payroll for the District Attorney's office. If Erin Doorley was in jail, Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, without a prosecutor talking to court, I guarantee this freaking sociopath District Attorney Sandra Doorley would be in a rage about that. The lives of others don't matter to her. The lives of others don't matter to you, Todd Baxter, either. Because if Kevin Baxter or Zachary Baxter were in jail, as I've said repeatedly now, I guarantee your wife, Mary Baxter, would be in a rage about that. So, I contacted Lollipop Farm 2 years ago about my little guy. This is because this Nayrod shot, Layla Kumar shot by the parking lot I've walked through 4,000 times. I don't think I'm going to go into that. Shannon Meyer told a man named Steve Desert brought Cola Tree and Lawn Care to ride his tractor by my residence and get me to come out of the residence. And when I would leave my residence, I would walk my little guy along this land to a large tract of land behind my residence. One day, the back window flies open from the Shah Law Firm, and Nayrod Shah, the 50-year-old man, lives with his 7-year-old mother, Layla Kumar Shah, at 2032 Benford Road. And half an hour later, your disgusting, vile, sickening organization, and I view the same way as the mafia in New York City in the 1970s, 80s, they're there demanding my dog. 22. Freedom of Information Law documents I'm going to read. You're going to refuse to comply with every single one. You will repudiate every single one because you're corrupt. Freedom of Information Law, July 2nd, 2023, attached in PDF. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra Doorley to target Christopher Chichester. That is 1. The day, month, and year the grand jury is convened. 2. The assigned District Attorney's Office employee that addressed the grand jury. 3. The witnesses that testified to the grand jury. 4. The vote of the grand jurors. 5. Transcript of the grand jury proceeding. You, Michelle Crowley, $100,000 disgusting hack, indicted me with this grand jury. This is in your office. I've been demanding this information for 18 months. I contacted you again with a 5,000-word document that came right to you, Michelle Crowley. You should have. Well, I'm telling you about the facts and circumstances of what happened this night. What happened this night, Michelle Crowley? Do we even know? Doesn't matter. I'm your ham sandwich, $100,000, Michelle Crowley. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The language is so famous, you can indict a ham sandwich because a fanatical, corrupt, degenerate prosecutor can indict anybody. And you are a fanatical, corrupt, degenerate prosecutor in the Mike Nifong level of fanatical, degenerate, and corrupt, Michelle Crowley. You don't call me to the District Attorney's Office for an interview about Michael Houlihan and Don Benedetto. Todd Baxter, $73,000 and $85,000 freak, hiding on a private property of my elderly neighbor. Why? You don't call me on the phone, Michelle Crowley. Most important, you don't call me to this contraption. I leave my residence 2 years ago. Benedetto and Houlihan come running at me, turn around and run away. I never stop running. If I never stop running, you disgusting hack, Michelle Crowley, can't commit a crime. I grab a bike, I grab a hammer next to my bike. As I'm about to go up the first 3 steps to run through the sliding glass door, Michael Houlihan grabs my arm, the hammer goes up and run through the sliding glass door, and I never stop running. You don't know any of this. And there are more facts and details I'm going to leave out. I never stopped running. If I never stop running, I cannot swing a hammer at Michael Houlihan. When Michael Houlihan states in your grand jury, Michelle Crowley, I swung a hammer at him, he purges himself. I'm charged with attempted felony assault, for which I was in Livingston County Jail. When I'm released, Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court said to me while I'm in front of him as his personal peon defendant, there's no such thing as attempted felony assault. I do not accept the truth of what he said to me because he's every bit as corrupt as you, Sandra Doorley, and you, Todd Baxter, and you, Paul C. Metzler, and you, James Femeli Jr. That's what he said to me. There's no such thing as attempted felony assault because it's a landmine of Vegas for anything to be attempted. You, Todd Baxter, could attempt to assault Sandra Doorley. And then what the hell does that mean? Do you understand why you're in 1984? And the answer is no. You're sick Orwellian existence where I cannot even find out the names of my prosecutors. So, tell me their names. It's on 4, let's attach here. When I walk into the Penfield Public Library, Richard J. Seaman, when I leave my residence for the last time, was staring at my front door. This is why he's a psychopath cop. This is why you, Todd Baxter, are in the embrace of violence. I walk down Penfield Road to Bad Road and walk up to 1985 Bad Road to get to the Penfield Public Library. Seaman and his psychopath partner watch me the whole time. I sit at the computer. 5 minutes later, Seaman is walking toward me. Then he starts to run. Richard J. Seaman, You're a $75,000 freak, this violent criminal, ran at me, took his arm, slammed his arm into the side of my head. Forced Seaman's arm hitting me in the head. I fell backwards. My head hit the ceramic tile on the library floor. This violent attack because it's $28,000 bald-headed widow Paul Seaman. Seaman puts the handcuffs on me, takes me down to the Penfield Town Court little room where there is no jury of 12. There is no table for a defendant, no table for a prosecutor, no witness box for testimony. So two things are important in this room. There's no prosecutor for the district attorney's office present. Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan and Michelle Crowley, district attorney's office. Is it constitutional for Paul C. Metzer and Penfield Town Court, this $28,000 bald-headed widow, convene Penfield Town Court without notification to the district attorney's office because no one's present? And then I find out, public defender Julie Siak, assistant public defender Mark Phillips, that there's my public defender. Why didn't you, public defender Julie Siak, call me and tell me that I have a public defender? I'm supposed to be in court. I'll write this down. Send me that check. $61.39 because it was reissued to me. Because when I got out of Livingston County Jail, you had to write a check to me for the money in my pocket. Money in my pocket, and that's the price of violence because of Richard J. Seaman. These are the freaks here. So I'm going to name the man, 3 names. And the freak is right here because this is the payroll from the district attorney's office. You're going to repudiate me on July 2nd. This prosecutor sent me there. Is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie Hahn? I know what she looks like. I can see her as clear as I can see anybody, just like this boy before Paul C. Metzer. I'm going to get to next. What's the name of this prosecutor? Did you, Perry Douglas, and Mark Monahan, or even your boss, Sandra, really call Julie Hahn when she's on Monroe County Court at 17% of the vote? She's not the victor. The victor is at 31% of the vote. You thought about running for a judge seat, Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan, because you know you could be elected when you're not the victor and you're not even remotely close to 50%. State legislature in Albany needs to change those laws. Is this Julie Hahn, who's not the victor, who's on Monroe County Court with 70% of the vote, or is this not Julie Hahn? Tell me the answer. Freedom of information on documentation for the case of Christopher Chávez, Wilbon, John P. Lanzo. Excuse me. Yes, documentation for the case of John P. Lanzo Jr. Penfield Town Court was in prosecution. I may repeat things because I talk in between the foils. So I possibly will repeat some of these because corruption requires repetition. Tell me if that's Julie Hahn. Because if it's not Julie Hahn, then the freak is right here. Freedom of information law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chávez for Paul C. Metzer Penfield Town Court was in prosecution. This is the boy. This boy freak, who's like this I know, but his name I don't, is on here. What's this boy freak's name? You repudiate me. You refuse to tell me. So, my last appearance in the New York State Supreme Court before Alex Renzi is because of this prosecutor or prosecutors. These prosecutors or prosecutor forced me into Alex Renzi. I would be in New York State, in Albany, New York right now, if it wasn't for New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi remanded me to Monroe County Jail because he wanted to give me a 7:30 mental health evaluation. I do not believe this is constitutional. Again, I'll say things that I've said previously, but I could be incorrect because of how bizarre the law is in New York State. I do not believe it's constitutional for any judge anywhere in the state of New York to compel a citizen into a court for the express purpose of a 7:30 mental health evaluation. That means any judge anywhere in New York, from Montauk to Buffalo, can compel a citizen in those communities, all the 17 million people, to go into court and then be remanded to jail for a 7:30 mental health evaluation. How's that constitutional? I'll ask Alex Renzi this when I write it down, and he will refuse to answer because he's corrupt. Alex Renzi wants to get inside my head. Do you understand how dangerous this is here? Where a judge, he's trying to get inside my head, and he knows he can send me to jail by doing this to me under the law of the state of New York. But I don't know if this is constitutional. The law could be the law in the state of New York and still be unconstitutional. So, this is the 1984 of my existence. Whoever this is, forced me into Alex Renzi, who remanded me to Monroe County Jail. Again, I'm there with the rapists, the murderers, the most violent individuals in Monroe County right next to me. I had to take the 7:30, and I was released. I didn't take the 7:30 in Monroe County, Todd Baxter. Do you know what I'm talking about, you Benito Mussolini skinhead and stooge? Because I was north of Syracuse, New York. This is a reason I hate, despise, test you, Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley. What am I doing north of Syracuse? It's because of you. So, documentation for the case, Christopher Charges for Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Corruption requires repetition. Tell me the name of this freak and his sociopath assigned to my appearance before Alex Renzi. Or, if I'm incorrect, is it just him, Alex Renzi, deciding that he wants to give me a 7:30 mental health evaluation? He wants to remand me to Morrow County Jail? And then how does he decide that? How does he know my name? It's because you were at the district attorney's office and you were at the sheriff's office. He is incredibly dangerous, the 70-year-old fossil. That means he could do to any citizen of Morrow County what he did to me. Does not matter to you, freaks and sociopaths. The district attorney's office, the sheriff's office. So again, why freaks? What's Paul C. Metzer doing with my private health care records? Paul C. Metzer asked me in Pemberton Court what I only call my mother and father. Where I'm at this particular place in Elmwood Avenue without a 7:30. You drove me, Todd Baxter, your employees, from Monroe County Jail to this place on Elmwood Avenue, and I'm released again. So, what are you doing with my health care records? Because Paul C. Metzer knows where I was. I stared at her in really dumbfounded shock. I'm thinking, how does she know that? Because you told her. You told her because of what I'm about to read. I do not know if this is a federal crime. Paul C. Metzer has my healthcare records right in front of her because you gave them to her, Todd Baxter. For your information, a copy of the private healthcare records delivered to $28,000 Pemberton Court Judge Paul C. Metzer by Sheriff Todd Baxter for Monroe County in violation of the Health Insurance Board of Bill and Accountability Act 1996. If you decide to respond to me and tell me I'm incorrect on this July 2nd, 2023, you can reach me. chargestojul4@gmail.com. 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York 14604. Or you hacks and sociopaths and cretins and criminals can call me. 813-648-4441. You can call me and tell me you want to get me in court again before one judge who could just declare me guilty of anything you concoct. What do you think about one judge determining guilt or innocence for a citizen in Monroe County? Because one judge in the state of New York determining guilt or innocence is incredibly dangerous. And I'm looking for the document where that I called one judge on here. And there it is right here. The one judge, I sent you one judge. This one judge has destroyed me. Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. And it does not matter to you that this has happened to me at all. And another thing I'm demanding of you as I look for this is sexual harassment at Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, Judge Renzi. You got this on April 10th. This is why you're corrupt. Sexual harassment at Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi. Mail the answer on prosecutor Sazi address below in Rochester, New York. Read the 6 attached PDF documentation. Answer me about sexual harassment in your office. Resign. I don't use sexual harassment in the foil. This is too limiting of what you want. So you got this foil here. Now, Todd Baxter, I hate to use this phrase, and I hate to use this phrase because to you. But before I use this phrase, it's right here. That's called a surveillance device. This was sent to you on January 16, 2023. It's because you're a cop freak, Shannon Meyer, that you gave a $16,000 raise to. What I'm going to hear is the Blue Wall Silence. Blue Wall Silence here on February 6th about your camera, also called a surveillance device, where I said to you on this January 16th, your name here, this photograph is why you're a fanatic, this photograph is why you're extremist, this photograph is why you're a liar, this photograph is why they're not even a $67,000 disgusting act, Shannon Meyer. This photograph. Sheriff Todd Baxter, Monroe County District Attorney, Sandra Doorley, Monroe County, is why people hate the police. It's because you're a cop free, Shannon Meyer. How do you give this freak a $16,000 raise? I will use the Freedom of Information Law. Since you took office in January 1, 2018, Todd Baxter, I want to see the payroll in 6-month periods for how you gave raises to every single one of your employees. Freedom of information, low cost of spouse vice purchase from taxpayer dollars by Myron County Sheriff Todd Baxter fixed to a building at 2025 Penfield Road to monitor Christopher Chachis, 26 Sandra Drive, walks through the parking lot next to the building. That's the lunatic fringe. Elliot Roth works at this building called Consumer Insights, 2-story building you can see from Penfield Road. I'm walking through the parking lot to go to old Jim. He says to me exact words, "Are you going to be arrested?" with this gruesome smile. Elliot, you can tell me when I send you a registered mail return receipt if this is your private technology on the building or if the sheriff's office came and fixed it. And you can also send it back to me, and that's just the way it is because you're a private citizen. This bald-headed Benito Mussolini psychopath, Todd Baxter, his whole existence, his whole $132,000 salary is tax dollars, and he'll refuse to answer too. So this is what I'm demanding. If there's sexual harassment at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office. So, freedom of information on this July 2nd. The cost of taxpayers of Myron Sheriff Todd Baxter expended taxpayer dollars to employment-related discrimination lawsuits failed to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It's the payroll for the district attorney's office here. So I'll go to the third page of the payroll. Now, here is Lisa Howard, $35,624. And then down here is another employee looking for a higher salary, Aaliyah Fowler. So Aaliyah Fowler, $84,875, is insulated and protected at a greater degree than Lisa Howe because of the $50,000 salary difference. So Sandra, if you cared about sexual harassment in your district attorney's office, and Perry Duckles, if you cared about sexual harassment in the district attorney's office, you would ask $35,000 Lisa Howe and $84,000 Lee Fowler. A simple question: have you been sexually harassed at the district attorney's office? That's too limiting too. I'm not going to go into those details about that. I hate that when I hear he's been sexually harassed, she's been sexually harassed. It has to be defined about the specific behavior that's sexual harassment, which I have done on here. Lisa Howe can give you these answers. District Attorney Sandra Doorley. And it doesn't matter to you at all. Does not matter to you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, that's a sexual harassment at the District Attorney's office. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? The answer is no. Just like it doesn't matter to you, you bald-headed Benito Mussolini clone skinhead. Todd Baxter. It was Todd Baxter, cost taxpayers, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, expended taxpayer dollars. So employment-related discrimination lawsuits failed to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So, these two here, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley. Here, sexual harassment. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Todd Baxter, sexual harassment at the District Attorney's office, Sheriff's office. This is how I'm tempted to find that out with this one-page document. You refuse to answer me because you're corrupt. You will repudiate me on this July 2nd. Same thing for Alex Renzi. The cost of taxpayers of supervising Judge Alex Renzi in the New York State Supreme Court expended taxpayer dollars to employment-related discrimination lawsuits failed to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. When I print this out and send it to him, he'll look at this. His immediate thought will be, because he's a psychopath, I want to send him to jail. It's exactly what I'm going to say to him. Because I'll be in front of him again. One who hacks, the sociopaths, the ciphers, and creeds will just compel me to go into Alex Renzi again, where he could declare me guilty where you don't have to talk, where I have no due process. You smash me into a million little pieces again. Overtime time and a half, tell me the answer. When I contact State Controller Thomas B. DiNapoli in Albany, I'll tell him you're refusing to answer. You could double your salaries at the Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office. Total cost of overtime time and a half, I'll pay beyond base salaries calculated at the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. So here is the payroll for the Sheriff's Office. So I just open it up randomly here. The length of service, which I demanded. James McGowan, 28 years. William McLean, 23 years. Brian McNamara, 23 years. These three employees here, they all have their 20. Can James McGowan, 28 years, William McLean, 23 years, and Brian McNamara, 23 years, can all three of them receive overtime time and a half? Can all three of them double their salaries? Do you, Todd Baxter, Sheriff of Monroe County, receive overtime? Tell me what the answer is. You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. So, freedom of information law, same thing for the District Attorney's Office on this July 2nd. The cost of overtime time and a half, I'll pay beyond a base salaries calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. So on a payroll for the district attorney's office, here you have your six-figure employees. Here you are, Sandra Doorley, 210, 900, duly elected. That's the way it is. You decide these salaries here. So these salaries, they're 1, 2, 3, the next 5 salaries below your name on the payroll for the district attorney's office here. Can these 5 employees all receive overtime or time and a half? Tell me what the answer is. Perry Duckles, $144,000. Matthew Schwartz, $135,000. Mark Monahan, $141,000. Nancy Gillen, $118,000. Michelle Crowley, $131,000. Those 5 $100,000 employees, can they receive overtime or time and a half? Tell me what the answer is. You should be disbarred, Michelle Crowley, which I'm going to pursue relentlessly. I'm indicted. You don't call me to the grand jury. You don't call me for an interview. You don't know anything about what happened to me on this night when Michael Houlihan of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office becomes a perjurer. I don't have to photograph this. I'm not going to hold this up. I have repeatedly took a picture of the employees underwater in a pool, Todd Baxter, and this is why you're joked. The cost for time recession, photograph 10 Monroe County Sheriff's Office underwater in a pool approved by Sheriff Todd Baxter. I'll try to attach that in PDF. Posting that's from Penn Court, this revolting sick room that I'm confident the employees of the United States Department of Justice will conclude that this is a revolting sick room. The name of Salazar, public employee, Penn Court, 1985 Bed Road, Penn, New York, 14526, where everybody's guilty. I've not looked at that list of defendants in Penn Court because I will get physically sick. Is Penn Court, you, James Riley Jr., you, Paul C. Metzer, and the old lady, is that it? It's 3 people constitute Penn Court. They will refuse to answer. And when I contact Control Thomas B. Napoli, I'll tell him that they're refusing to answer. I haven't written that foil yet about that old lady. How many employees are Penn Court, Paul C. Metzer and James Riley Jr.? You released Jermaine Behrman, James Riley Jr., you know what I'm talking about? Do you know the name? Jermaine L. Behrman, James Riley Jr. So, the names of Freedom of Information Law, names of Salazar, a public employee in New York State Supreme Court under supervising Judge Alex Renzi, 99 Exchange Boulevard in Rochester, 14604. I'm tempted to find out if he has clerks, because it's the New York State Supreme Court. And what's he pay his clerks? I don't know. He'll look at this and think I should go to jail. He will refuse to comply. When he refuses to comply, I'm going to write him and contact him and say, I knew you were going to refuse to comply. And I'm going to ask him, why are you refusing to comply? And when I put this on paper, Alex Renzi is going to think I want to send him to jail. That's what you're all thinking. I don't know who watches me. I don't check the views. But if you are watching, that's what you're thinking. Now I'm at 27 minutes. You should be in jail. Because you're psychopaths. Because you're sociopaths. You're anything that's not normal. So, this is not normal. Ryan Fisher from Atlanta, Georgia, Stars and Bars. I've talked about him repeatedly. You're refusing repeatedly for 18 months to tell me the cost of the hotel, the cost of the plane ticket, and also the cost of his dog. I'll write a separate file, I'm trying not to laugh, about his dog Lola being with him. His German Shepherd. That means Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher is on an airplane with his dog from Monroe County going 1,000+ miles away to Stars and Bars, Redneck, Georgia. Freedom of Information Law. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket from Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher to attend the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019. How long did he stay there? Just like Michael Fowler, Corey Fowler going to Saratoga. Your employees, $163,000 Michael Fowler and $155,000 Corey Brown, paid $20,000 more than you each are in Saratoga. Why? Is it for a conference? I have documentation you have sent to me on this. I think the total trip was $1,500. The cost of that trip should have been zero because he never should have been there. And when I contact Thomas B. DiNapoli, this is in a list of things I will cite to him so you can be audited, Todd Baxter. I'm going to talk about Corey Brown and Michael Fowler being in Saratoga, where I'm going to be soon, because I'm moving back to Albany. And I believe I possibly could not arrive there because you just concoct some fiction, some fucking fantasy, some lie in your heads, in your diseased brain, to compel me to go into court where you don't have to talk to the district attorney's office and I'll be in jail again. So 2 things are going to happen. Either I'm going to be at the Travers in Saratoga in August, or I'm going to be in jail. Those are the 2 things that are possible to me, because I'm not at the Travers, which I've been through over and over and over. I will be in jail, where it only takes one of you psychopaths at that district attorney's office to force me into a courtroom where you don't have to talk in front of the corrupt one judge. What are Corey Brown and Michael Fowler doing in Saratoga, Todd Baxter? You can answer me right now. Put it in writing. Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. Chris Chichester, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, 14604. Tell me what the answer is. Is this for a conference? Please let it be for a conference. Sheriff Todd Baxter. So the contract for your firearms. Again, when a contract control Thomas B. Dapley, asks, you can't demand anything of the controller, that you be audited. I'll say you're refusing to tell me what the answer is here. Contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Monroe County Sheriff Office employees to include 1, the name of the firearms contracted, 2, the number of the firearms purchased, 3, the total amount of taxpayer dollars to purchase firearms. So, cost of travel. If you're sending Ryan Fisher to Atlanta, Georgia, and you're sending Corey Brown and Michael Fowler to Saratoga, and you, Todd Baxter, going to Washington, D.C. to testify before the House Rules Committee, then you have other employees that are going out of Monroe County to the other counties in New York and New York State to the other states in the United States of America. What's the total cost to travel to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. You repudiate me about your travel to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, even though every single dollar expended for travel is taxpayer dollars. The cost for all travel from Monroe County and New York State for employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. Do you know, Todd Baxter, the House Rules Committee is an internal committee for the House of Representatives. That has nothing to do with law enforcement, which was once chaired by Gerald Solomon of New York and Saratoga County. The House Rules Committee sets the rules for debate and how legislation can be introduced on the floor of the House of Representatives, where I have been over and over. I'll say this again for you, and this is why you're corrupt. The House Rules Committee at the United States House of Representatives has nothing to do with law enforcement. And what were you doing there, Todd Baxter? So, are you going to these ridiculous conferences? Mark Monahan, Terry Duckles, the District Attorney's Office? Or not? Is Sandra Doorley going to these ridiculous conferences or not? How many employees in the Monroe County District Attorney's Office have been given monies or a voucher to travel, either out of Monroe County or out of New York State? For your information on the cost for all travel from Monroe County and New York State for employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Sandra Doorley. All travel from Pembroke Court. For your information on the cost for all travel from Monroe County and New York State for employees of Pembroke Court, 1985 Bed Road, Pembroke, New York, 14526. Tell me what the answer is. Paul C. Messenger, James Wayne Jr. For new information on the cost for all travel from Monroe County, New York State by employees of New York State Supreme Court, 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, 14604. When I ask him, Alex Renzi, in New York State Supreme Court, if he has clerks, he'll refuse to answer. Even though every clerk is paid for by taxpayers of the state of New York and Monroe County. So Sandra Doorley, I lived in Webster with my then girlfriend Laura. You know what? We moved. We lived above Ed, who had Tourette syndrome, which would activate itself. We would scream and throw things. And one night, past midnight, Ed starts to scream. And I think he's throwing things. And he's pounding on her door. I get up on my t-shirt and boxer shorts, wearing a t-shirt just like this one here. I get up and Laura's following me. I open up the door. I don't know if this is the sheriff's office or local Barney 588 cop. He grabs my shirt, pulls me into the hallway, throws me up against the wall. My head hit a hard surface, just like this hard surface. See that? The way I hit my head hit the wall just like that. Made that sound. Made it sound louder than that sound. My head hits this hard surface, just like this hard surface here. I came off the wall, took my finger, I put it right on his eye like this. I said, the only reason why you're allowed to do that to me is you're wearing that ice cream man suit. So Sandra Doorley, this happened in Webster, New York, where you live. And this is why my then girlfriend Laura and I moved from Webster. Could not be in his apartment complex, but this psychopath, his name is Ed, called the cops, and here I am, violently attacking my head, hit a hard surface. That's the first time my head hit a hard surface because of a psychopath cop. I'll repeat myself. You live in Webster where I lived. You drive yourself into the office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, like an ordinary New Yorker. You have a car that waits for you to exit your residence with a chauffeur, and you driven into the District Attorney's office and tell me the answer. Freedom of Information Law. The cost of taxpayers from automobile and driver for District Attorney Sandra Doorley. How easy and simple is it to answer that? Easy and simple is a bridge too far for you, you pathetic diva. So, these 22 Freedom of Information Law documents have been communicated to you and transmitted to you on this July 2nd. I'll put the link to this called Repudiate. I believe I'll call it Repudiate. Sometimes I change my mind. And it's called Repudiate because all 22 you refuse. Including names on prosecutor's silence. So, on this date is July 2nd. 22, all 22 that I just read, you will comply with 0 because you're corrupt. So I'm buying things that I once had. My landlord, Anthony Spano, evicted me. I go to the Goodwill. I have to go to Goodwill again to get clothes. All my clothes are gone. I'm not holding up things for narcissism. See this ring? I had a box of rings that I bought for 30 years. I wore a ring on this finger for 30 years. So I went to the public market today and bought a couple rings. That's all gone. I'm buying things I once owned. These rings here. I drove to Cooperstown with my excellent friends, Bob Bellafiore and Peter Murphy. Bought a Brooklyn Dodgers hat again. I bought a Brooklyn Dodgers hat at Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame that I no longer own because my 80-year-old psychopath landlord, Anthony Spano. You know why you're not going to arrest him? Because he's 80 years old and he speaks in broken English. And he'll say he's from Italy and he didn't know this is a crime to lock doors and lock me out. It takes a court order to lock out a citizen. That's a crime that my landlord, 80-year-old Anthony Spano, has committed. It takes court order to transport all the things out of a residence to a storage locker, which is a crime my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley's committed. I've contacted her over and over and over, in writing, on YouTube, on this TikTok app I use, telling her to tell me what happened. She's refusing every time. I don't have vengeance at heart for my ex-girlfriend. I lived at 3 different places for her. I've known her for 35 years. But I am disgusted now with her in the participation of the destruction of my life. Laura Riley, who I do not even know where she lives or works. She injects herself into my life, where she takes everything I thought I owned to a storage locker because she didn't take my books. My 1,000+ books are all gone because of her and Anthony Spano. This is being done without a court order. Locking me out, Anthony Spano takes a court order. He has no court order. Taking things out of my residence. My ex-girlfriend committed this crime without a court order. What would you think if you showed up, employees at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office, and you were locked out, and then one of your psychopath friends or relatives or ex-girlfriends or ex-wives took everything you owned to a storage locker and you have nothing, you had to sleep in a park for 3 weeks. I slept in Harris Whalen Park for 3 weeks because of 80-year-old Anthony Spano of Fairport, New York, locking doors and locking me out without a court order when I was at Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. That's a crime. He will not be arrested, prosecuted, charged. Nothing's going to happen to this 80-year-old man. When I write the criminal complaint about my ex-girlfriend, who I have no hesitation whatsoever for taking everything I own to this storage locker without a court order, because it requires one. She won't be arrested, charged. Nothing's going to happen to her. So, Shield, Todd Baxter. Everything has happened to me because you're a cop freak, Shannon Meyer. Perry Duck was on this January 1. I told you to disclose the names of my prosecutors, and you refused. I'm looking for a particular document because I have ones here that I've said, well, I'm calling you freaks, I'm calling you insane. I'm looking at the titles of all these here. I can tell you sickness is one of them. And I'm looking for the one that says one judge. How is any citizen in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk to court? And why don't you do something about one psychopath judge determining guilt or innocence? Like this psychopath judge right here. Redirect defendants away from this $28,000 bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzler. Saying you're not going to have innocent citizens in jail when prosecutors don't talk in court. Perry Duckles again, January 1. I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors. You refused. I'm telling you here on June 21st, disclose the names of my prosecutors. You refused. I'm telling you again here on this July 2nd, disclose the names of my prosecutors. You refused. Over and over and over, you're refusing to tell me the name of the freak because you're corrupt. It just doesn't matter to you what you're doing to innocent citizens. Does that matter to you, Todd Baxter? The blue wall of silence will protect Richard J. Seatman from being arrested, charged, prosecuted for violently attacking the Pembroke Public Library. The blue wall silence will protect this anonymous Monroe County Sheriff Office employee who attacked me at the pharmacy, answered weapons, delivered me to an MRI tube. The blue wall silence will allow you, Todd Baxter, to smash the civil and constitutional rights of innocent citizens into a million little pieces for as long as you're sheriff of Monroe County. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I've been an innocent man my whole life.